Alright, so CM Punk did a pretty long interview with Colt Cabana, and he basically laid out why he left, his disgrievances with the company. And I'm going to make a longer video on this probably next week, early next week, probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, around there. You could always check my video schedule. I always post when I'm going to make videos. Most of my videos I put on my video schedule ahead. You could, if you go on the homepage of my channel, the header video I have is there's a link in the description of that video to my video calendar where you can see what I'm going to do on all my videos. Or I believe it's in the upper top right corner. There's a link to it says video schedule. You got to click on it. So you guys can go there and see what videos I'm gonna do when. But anyway, CM Punk basically says why he left. And although I've hated Road Dogg in the past for certain things he's done, he makes a good point when he says you gotta, you're only hearing it from one side of the story. You have to look to, the other side of the story, and that's WWE. And again, he says you're probably never gonna get that side, and that's a disappointment. I think Vince McMahon and Triple H should do an interview, much like Punk did. A long interview explaining themselves about it, explaining the situation. And from what Punk said, I mean, it sounded pretty legit. It didn't sound like he was lying. And I wouldn't doubt it either, knowing Vince McMahon and the shit he's done to us and his superstars. He doesn't really give a damn about them. And Punk brings up a good point when talking about independent contractors. Technically they are independent contractors, which is bullshit because they tell them when to work, where to work, So they're not really independent contractors, but they consider that, they're considered to be. So Punk's kind of right in that aspect. When he kind of has the right to leave, and if all these things are true, what he was saying, I think he has a right to leave. If the doctors aren't treating him properly, if he's got a fucking staph infection and they're not treating him properly, he has a fucking right to leave, people. If he's got a concussion and they're trying to make him wrestle, he's got a right to leave. Now, maybe those things are exaggerated. Maybe those things didn't happen. But, I mean, unless WWE refutes them, if they didn't happen, then Vince McMahon should come out and say they didn't happen. All right? Until that happens, I'm going to, I got to go with what CM Punk said. I mean, I can't consider it fact, but I have to believe him. If, I don't know. They didn't really come out definitively and say, that this stuff didn't happen. I mean, I think that all they said was like, yeah, we have good doctors or some shit like that. So, I don't know. It's just something that should have been addressed a long time ago. And, I mean, Punk really, he's an independent person. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. And you could tell he was, I'm sure he was getting somewhat mistreated. I mean, you just don't leave out of the blue, in a company like that. And he talked about like so many petty issues in the company that they have a problem with. Like you can't say shit on Twitter, you can't do certain things, and it's kind of the whole company's like Cena can do certain things that Punk can. I mean, he really explained himself pretty good, I thought, and it's about damn time he comes out and says something about it. So kudos to Punk for speaking out. And the one thing I didn't like, he's like, yeah, I don't like to, sometimes I just go silent on Twitter or don't say shit because people get mad at me. And then he's like later in the video, well, I don't really care what other people think of, the haters. It very little affects my life. So I mean, that didn't really make sense there. But very good interview. Go watch it. And I'm glad that Punk finally spoke out about it, explained himself very well, explained his grievances with the company very well. And, I liked it. I very much liked the interview. I liked how he finally explained himself. It only took fucking, 10 months? I mean, and Vince McMahon still hasn't really, or WWE hasn't really addressed it to, they haven't really addressed it much like Punk did here in this interview. So, again, I'll be making a longer video about this early next week, so tune into that one. It'll be a longer edition. So there's my video for now, so there you go, people.